Hi, I'm Claudia Boldiga, the chair of Bosom Buddies Charities. We want to pull back the curtain on our organization, and we're going to share with you our stories. Out of the 7 ladies that sit on this board, 4 of them have actually been affected with breast cancer. Our event is Living in the Moment, and we are so happy to have you guys all here. Today we thought would be a good time for us to share the stories of what they have been through. One of the people that comes to mind is Karen White. Karen White has been with Bosom Buddies Charities forever. She's had breast cancer many, many years ago. And Karen, how many years has it been since you've had breast cancer?
25 years now.
25 years. So Karen, when you first joined Bosom Buddies Charities, what was your reasoning to come here? How did you get here?
I had a good friend in the neighborhood. Bosom Buddies was just getting started, actually. It was in 2006, and she says, we're stuffing envelopes tonight and we really need help, because the organization was just coming together and there was 7 women in the community, and it was a brainchild of Susan Ponchak. I said, sure, I'd love to help. And she knew I had just finished my breast cancer treatments, wanted to give back, and I was working with Susan Komen for a while and did all the relay races. And when I found Bosom Buddies Charities, it was great. I said, sure, I'd love to come. So we sat and stuffed envelopes that night for the first ball, the very first ball that we were doing in 2007.
Wow.
And I got to meet wonderful ladies, and they've become, like you said, lifelong friends. It's just been a wonderful organization, and it was just my way to give back.
Connie, when you came to this organization, you have a very different way you were brought to Bosom Buddies Charities. How was that?
Yes. My first interaction with Bosom Buddies, I was attending the ball as a guest of someone who was the featured speaker. She had breast cancer and I came to support her. I sat next to Susan Ponchak that night and had the honor of meeting her and talking to her about the beginnings of Bosom Buddies. Lo and behold, later that same year I got diagnosed. So my next time attending the Bosom Buddies Ball, the very next year, I was the patient and I was in the video. It was a very different experience, but I felt comfortable because of the people that I had met, and I know the mission. It was just ironic that here I am 1 year later as the patient. And now here I sit, I'm on the board, and I'm 5 years cancer-free, and I've done the journey, and now I'm a survivor, and I'm so excited to give back. I have 4 daughters. The oldest and youngest are 9 years apart, so they're quite an array of ages. And I wanted to get it from the perspective of my daughters. One of my daughters was in high school when I was diagnosed, living her best life. And I said, well, what would you tell the kids, you know, if their mom was diagnosed? And she's like, well, it's not just about you and your high school activities and the Friday night football game. Understand that there's a bigger picture. Life is going to change right now, but it's going to come back. Because of my daughter's advice, it brought it to my attention and to the attention of the board that we really need to address more than just the patient. We provide money and funds and attention to organizations that address not just the patient, but also the providers, the families, the children, or the spouses. So we're doing mental health and physical health support for the entire breast cancer journey for the local breast cancer community.
That's a great point. Again, going back to Karen, this was 20-something years ago, and so they didn't have some of these organizations that Bosom Buddies is so proud of donating to. How did you handle it? There wasn't much out there.
No, and it's an interesting story that I have, because when the doctor called, Jim and I thought, this is not good news, because they don't usually call you into the office.
Right.
And a year before, we had been to the doctors and they had done a needle biopsy because they did find a lump, and it was told it was non-malignant. So I said, okay, never been in my family, so I told Jim, you know, it's all going to be good.
Right.
Well, then during the year, he says, that lump is getting bigger. I don't know what the doctors or care what they're telling you. You need to go back and get it checked again. So we went back this time and did a surgical biopsy, and sure enough, it came back malignant. Because of its location, I was told, it's so close to your nipple, you're going to lose it anyway. You're going to have a mastectomy and do chemo. But to get back to your point, when I had it 25 years ago, there weren't a lot of organizations.
No.
I had a good, strong family support system, thank goodness. I'm glad what Bosom Buddies is doing now, because when I first came to Bosom Buddies, like after the first 2 years, we started up a women's support group on Kent Island. But when I was going through it, I didn't have that. I was over on the Western Shore, and so I had my family. So, and that's what you do. And you keep positive, and you just go, like you say, day by day.
Yep. Youngest board member that came on to us. You had an interesting way that you found out, because it was, of course, during COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
So I procrastinated in true Holly form and did not want to gift myself a mammogram for my 40th birthday. So I just had the weirdest feeling. I went to Texas and I visited my best friend, and I told her, I said, I think that, and she, of course, absolutely not. There's no way. You have no family history. You're so young. It's your very first mammogram. Yep, exactly. So I ended up coming back, and I have invasive lobular carcinoma. So it's the sneaky cancer. So it's not a duct. It's more like sheets upon sheets is how they described it.
I remember you sharing a story about the fact that it was COVID, and so therefore no one was allowed to come out of their houses. No one was allowed to do anything, but yet your friends and family did something that was pretty freaking amazing.
So my husband, there are these unsightly bushes in the front of our driveway, and he was like, oh, we're gonna pull these out today. Come show me which ones. And I said, okay, but I have a Zoom happy hour with my girlfriends. I've got my wine back there, my Zoom. You have 15 minutes until my Zoom starts. So he has the truck, it's backed up. All of a sudden I hear horns honking. The Queenstown Volunteer Fire Department helped out, set this up. All of my friends and family gathered. I think there were about 60 cars. Everyone painted them, all their children, they had signs. I just could not even believe it. They had gifts, they had cards, you weren't allowed to touch or hug or anything, and I'm such a huggy person. So like, they're yelling at me because I'm trying to approach the cars, and they're like, no, stay back. Yeah, stay back. I'm like, I just want to hug everyone. Just the show of love and support, just absolutely amazing. And something that my heart and soul needed so much, because my friends and family are so very important to me.
I know that Jody has been involved for many, many years with Bosom Buddies Charities, and tell me how you got here. What is your why?
Well, my why has also changed. I think then in the beginning it was one of my college roommates at a very young age was diagnosed with early stage breast cancer, and she's a survivor, and it was something that came to our group of friends in a way that you don't expect. I think we were in our 30s, and it was quite a surprise.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I was introduced to the charity, was wanting to get involved in the community, and this was something that was important to me because of her. Our nanny that our daughter took care of our daughter when she was young, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I did not really know very much about breast cancer at all. She had a very aggressive form of breast cancer, and she did not survive. And so it was young people in my life that were touched with this disease, and so getting involved in the community was how I came to be here tonight, because of people in my past. But over the years, it really is the organizations that we take the funds to, and they do these incredible things. And going to the check presentations is probably one of the most fun things that we do on this board. Bosom Buddies takes every moment to thank them and appreciate what they're doing for our community. And every dollar that we raise goes back into our community, and I think that that is a very rare charity. We are so generous with your money to these organizations, and that's really my why now. Being on the board with all of you has just been an incredible experience, and I can't imagine not doing it.
Well, good, because you're doing it for the next 28 years.
You're stuck with us.
Perfect, that's exactly what I did. When I was about 7 years old, I had an Aunt Pat who I was crazy about. And I can still remember her going in we would get dressed to go out, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw her putting her shirt on. And I didn't realize it, but she had had a double mastectomy. And at 7 years old, when you see that, it is just mind-boggling, and it really takes you back. My mom, she had cancer. She was an amazing lady. She would get herself into all kinds of situations that I would get her out of, but at the same time, this was something that I couldn't. And I remember thinking to myself, that's my why. That's the reason why I joined this organization. My why has changed. My mom is always right here. My Aunt Pat is always there too. But after being a part of this organization and sharing and hearing these stories, and pictures especially, and so, my why is because of them. Living in the moment, this ball means, as you can see, everything to us. Now that you've kind of heard our stories and you've heard our why, it's all of us together. So anything that you can do tonight, whether it be a donation or a raffle ticket, just remember before you go ahead and donate, think about this why. So from all of us on Bosom Buddies Board, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are looking forward to having a great time with you. Thank you so much. Bye.